From the minute I walked in here, I felt there was something really right going on.
The reach and the history that's just in this agency is pretty profound.
Oftentimes it feels like destiny, like it was meant to be.
In the adoption world, there's very high highs and very low lows. There's no dry eye in the room, really.
It was meant to be that I chose the Cradle.
The Cradle really does put families first.
To watch these people connect, sometimes it's just like magic.
It just starts when you walk in here. It starts when you come through those doors.
I do this for the babies.
This very special place is what we owe everything to.
Adopted people are everywhere. They are people who we come in contact on a day-to-day basis, and they're people who we may never know are adopted. The families are essentially coming to the Cradle to have their dreams of a family realized.
This organization has been in existence for 99 years, and over 16,000 children have been adopted through the Cradle. It was founded in 1923 by Florence Walrath. Florence was a one-woman adoption agency in Evanston Hospital. I've seen some of her fundraising letters. They did not pull any punches, and that was how the Cradle was born. The Cradle was really always on the forefront of defining family in a different way. We were on the forefront of single female adoption, same-sex adoption. So thousands of same-sex couples have been able to have a family through adoption that they perhaps thought that they wouldn't be able to.
We have a picture at the front desk of a young lady who was adopted in the 50s, and it speaks to how far forward we were thinking when we were placing Black children in Black households in the 50s. It's just a part of who we are.
Our extensive history is something unique to the Cradle. Most agencies don't have decades worth of practice.
The Cradle transcends leadership, and it's our role to ensure that it exists for the next 100 years.
The Cradle is more than bricks and mortar. It's about the people in the building and what they do for the people who come in through the doors.
I remember 14 years ago, sitting on that red couch, the thrill that I had for me not to want to give that to somebody else. Not hardly. I have to.
We have so many people, not only like me who've been here 18 years, there are people who've been here longer than I have. So the level of commitment and dedication to the work and to the clients, that's why I'm still here.
Our staff are critical to who we are as an organization, but families really embody who and what the Cradle is.
As you watch these stories, remember, this is what you're funding. This is where your donations are going, and your support continues to make all of this possible.
The journey for each adoptive parent is different. They may have decided that adoption is where they want to go because there are many children who need a good home, or maybe because that's the only option they have to form a family. Growing up, I didn't know if I was ever going to have a family. My husband and I wanted to start a family. Much of the adoption world was covered by faith-based organizations, and we didn't fit their criteria. The Cradle is the only organization in Illinois that would work with us to form a family.
Everyone in my life knew that I wanted to be a mom, and I've always wanted to be a mom. I remember walking into this place for the very first class and being the only single parent. And that's awkward.
The decision to adopt was a conversation that went on for a few years.
We wanted to be parents, and that was something we always dreamed and were hopeful would happen, that we would be a family. Both of us have family members with disabilities, and we always knew that that was going to be in the cards for us, that someday we would either foster or adopt children with disabilities.
We had spent 2 years trying to get pregnant, trying to stay pregnant, and then we had to really reflect on what was the most important, that we would get to parent together.
We came to an informational session and started to learn for the first time what this was all about. We immediately fell in love with the organization and felt very comfortable. In a matter of an afternoon, it turned what had felt like a scary idea into something that we suddenly were really thinking about almost immediately.
I'm Taryn Kablusek.
I'm Michael Kablusek.
We met at one of our mutual friends' weddings. I was a bridesmaid.
I was a groomsman.
And we were paired together. Yeah. He asked me to dance. We danced all night, and he was a good dancer.
After we got married, we wanted to start a family.
And so Yoshi came into our lives. He was our baby, but as far as the family planning goes, I mean, I am a childhood cancer survivor. So because of all of my treatments and everything that I've been through, I already knew that this was probably going to be something that was going to be a bit of a challenge for us. We're a bit nervous to become parents. I think the whole thing with adoption is that it's unexpected. We don't know when this is going to happen. You could get a call one day. They could say, "Oh, in like 2 weeks, we're gonna match you with a prospective parent," or they might say, "Here was an opportunity, but you know, another family was chosen." You got to just keep moving forward and then hope that one day that the time comes that you get the call. And I'm hoping that someday it happens soon.
Lord, can you give me a little bit of grace? Oh, I'll be praying, so please don't delay.
Adoptive parent counsellors work with prospective adoptive parents.
I want them to be as prepared as possible because they will encounter challenges around certain issues.
To know how sensitive issues are, to understand the vulnerability they're coming in with, all of that needs to be nurtured in this process.
That education encompasses a lot of different things. Openness in adoption, transracial adoption, identity in adoption, grief and loss. So it's a very extensive educational process.
You go into this and you don't even realize you're not the major player. It's like us waiting to kind of have this bestowed upon us, this honor. And there's humility in just being in waiting.
I love watching families' growth through the process.
The counsellors really make adoptive parents think about why they're doing this and is it in the best interests of the child.
There are so many wonderful adoption stories that have come out of this organization.
My name is Natasha Brown Love. Do I tell you my age? No. Okay.
Well, unless you want to.
No, I don't. My adoption story is remarkable because I never thought, as a single woman, I would even have adoption as an option. But when I got a little bit older, I really knew that it was something that I really wanted to do. And I just thought to myself, I think I'm going to go for this. Whoever I meet, I'm going to let them know I'm going to adopt. So you can either stay or go. I ended up finding the Cradle and took a leap of faith and then went and did the process. I wasn't dating anyone at the time. And then eventually I met Anthony. It was totally casual. I hadn't even met his mom yet. I didn't even know where it was going to go. Then 4 months after being live on the list, the Cradle said, birth mom told you. She was born a week ago. I'm like, what? It was just amazing. I still to this day can't believe it even happened to me. I said, I've got to call him and let him know what's going on because he needs to probably leave this relationship. This is too much.
I just remember her saying, well, it's happened. And I'm just like, well, what? You know, the bear's got a good bad pick of what? What's happening? And she says, well, the young lady chose me to be a mom. I was like, oh, okay, all right. Let's make the last couple of days count. I'm just kidding about that.
He brought his mom over to meet Avery as well.
I took her and I just held her. I didn't want to put her down.
She's holding Avery and she just says to me, she's like, yeah, you know, Anthony's brother was adopted from the Cradle. And I almost fell out of my chair.
I had reflections back to 66. My husband and I adopted Michael from the cradle. We had put on the application a baby girl. We got a call from the agency. So we know we said a girl, but she said it's a boy, so we'll take it. What a divine intervention. I knew I had love. The rest is history.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
She was just the most darling little thing. She's beautiful. That's Grandma's baby girl.
That's what she told me.
Every day I look in the mirror at the face of a stranger. I'm not sure where she got her smile, her rounded face, her laugh, or her love of life. As long as I can remember, I've known that I am different. I don't remember anyone telling me that I'm adopted. I feel as if I've always known. It's become part of who I am, although it seems at times to be an empty part. Not a day passes when I don't think about how my life would be different if I were with my birth mother. I try to figure out what I would say to her if I ever met the woman whose face reflects mine in the mirror and how she would respond. Would she nervously fiddle with her rings and stare at her hands as I do? Would she self-consciously fix her hair and blush upon meeting me for the first time? After years of asking myself the same questions over and over, I now know what I would like to tell her. I would like to thank her for her decision and tell her that she should never regret putting me up for adoption. I'm now at the age where I'm able to attempt to reach my birth mother if she wants to be contacted. I look forward to searching for her so I can finally fill this part of my life that has been empty for so long. Yet for now, the questions remain for me, and I'm not sure if I'll ever get them answered. I do know, however, that until the day when my eyes meet those of my birth mother, I will never cease to hope, to love, to question, and appreciate my life and all of the love I've been given. Whew. I sent this along with my first letter when I started searching for my birth mother. So my name's Ann Bode. I have been connected to the cradle my whole life. My parents adopted me in 1983, and my mom actually ran the nursery for a number of years. I had such a great childhood. My parents are both around all the time. I live a few blocks away from them still.
She's the best thing that ever happened to me. She knows it. When I think about Ann growing up and always knowing she was adopted, it was always part of the conversation. It became very clear by the time she was around 3rd grade that this was a great interest to her.
I really just wanted to know more about who I was and who were the people that brought me into the world.
We talked about it as a family, and we always told her that when she was ready, we were ready to support her. One of the things we really liked is the cradle had a really excellent post-adoption unit that would act as an intermediary and help protect everyone in the Adoption Triad, which was important to me. And I wanted Ann to have whatever she needed.
We're gonna go see Phantom of the Opera in New York. Yay!
We didn't know how it was going to turn out. We didn't know whether it was going to be a positive outcome. So there was some fear and trepidation about protecting Ann and making sure it was the best outcome that she could possibly get. But I would say that was the only fear we had.
Annie, my dad, Ann.
My parents did not have a lot of information about my biological mom. We knew that she was 19 when she had me. There was kind of a difficult family situation around her being pregnant and having me, but we didn't know much beyond that. The cradle helped literally every step of the way. In thinking about ever getting to meet her, I think my goal was to just let her know I was safe and happy and loved, and I've had the best life, and that's because of her. And really just to say thank you. For me, the worst possible scenario would be that she just wouldn't want contact with me. It turned out that was not the worst possible scenario. The call with Nina, I remember it so well because she prefaced it with saying, I have some bad news, and I have some good news. I was like, oh God. Nina told me that the bad news was that my birth mother had died
when she was 38, so I guess 2002, which in my mind actually never crossed my mind that this would be a possibility. So in the same moment that, that I found her, I also lost her. So that was devastating.
It's a loss. We all would have liked to be connected with her and let her know and experience what an amazing human being she produced.
Mary, from what I've learned about her since then, was just a wonderful person, a wonderful sister. She was one of 5, so she had 4 siblings. I found out that she had gotten married and that I had 3 half-brothers. So all of a sudden I had this family that I didn't know existed. And no one knew about me. So there was this whole piece of everyone now having to find out.
This is Anne showing them how to do it.
I emailed Nina. She wrote me back and said, they're all ready to meet you.
To meet Anne's birth family was really an extraordinary experience, and I think there were 20 members of her family. Aunts and uncles and brothers and cousins.
Cousins. It was like a receiving line. They came in and they introduced themselves to me. So it was like, hi, I'm John, I'm your uncle. I'm Kevin, I'm your uncle. I'm Jim, I'm your uncle. I'm Chris, I'm your brother. I'm Stephen, I'm your brother.
It was really extraordinary. Of course, all of this was facilitated by the Cradle.
They welcomed her and embraced her.
Seeing Anne was wild. It was like seeing a ghost. Just hearing that I had a sister, I didn't know. I was like, the craziest thing ever. I grew up with 2 brothers. I always wanted a sister, and having her come into my life means the world to me.
I had never, ever seen her. They had never been able to send me pictures or anything. So that for me was like the most surreal experience, finally getting to see her. That was such a crazy moment because I had waited 29 years to finally know where I came from.
It was a special experience.
I was surrounded by her whole life and all the people who really loved her. And now they're all in my life. And they've been a big part of it since that day.
Having Anne as my sister changed this last decade of my life in such a great way. It means everything. I think my mom would be ecstatic. I like to think every time me and my brothers are together, she's right there with us, just smiling.
My life makes so much more sense now that I have you. You've been there for all of the important things too.
One of the things her uncle said to me, oh, you've done such a great job with Anne. And we always said to them, she came to us this way. She's just always been a very empathetic, caring person. It's who she is.
Here comes Anne Bode, the mad doctor.
Taking candy.
What does Mary mean to you guys?
She produced Anne, and she cared about Anne. Birth mothers make decisions for many, many reasons, but one of the reasons is trying to give their child the life they think the child should have. I understand that, and I think that's a huge sacrifice, because they do it for their child.
No one's giving up a child. This is very sacrificial. It's very emotional. With a thorough plan, the men and women that I work with are considered expectant parents when they first make that initial appointment, and they are considering adoption as one of the options.
We never tell anyone what to do, but we provide information and ensure that they completely understand what an adoption means and what it looks like. And if a birth mum does want to make a plan for adoption, then we're here to support that.
It's a legal process, and so I'm required to ask certain questions of my clients. One of the questions that I'm required to ask is, why are you choosing adoption for your child? And these are the words they tell me. They say, because I'm not mentally prepared, because I'm not emotionally prepared, because I don't have any family support, because my own family members can't be trusted to help me, because I don't feel like in my current situation I can keep this child safe from a violent situation because I want to make sure that they're safe and well taken care of.
I take my hat off to our counselors who have to help birth parents through an incredibly difficult time.
If someone does not connect with their counselor, then they're not going to stay. So the level of empathy that people need to have to meet someone where they are in a non-judgmental way, in a caring way, is so critical to who we are as an organization, and they are the front line.
We met the birth parents, and I was extremely nervous. It wasn't so much like, are they gonna like us? It wasn't that kind of nervousness. It was more like, oh my God, these people are going through the hardest moment maybe of their whole lives, and we're just walking in like, hi, you know, we're Meg and Jason, let us take care of your child. I mean, it just was a lot to kind of wrap our minds around.
There was a distinct transition in my emotions from feeling nervous and scared and excited about becoming a parent to feeling just sort of terrified and petrified for what they were going through at that moment.
Yeah.
Certainly like nothing else I've experienced in my life.
I mean, they were both incredibly emotional. They were feeling a lot of different things. I mean, she was, 3 weeks postpartum and also caring for 3 other children. He had a lot of shame not being able to provide for his family and took a lot of that on personally. So it was hard to, it was difficult. But I think for all of us, it was also very reassuring. They were getting a little glimmer of hope and maybe comfort that we were the right people and that this could actually work out.
There's usually an announcement that's made that a placement is about to happen, and people within the cradle will come downstairs and just congratulate that family, and they're sitting here on this couch and they're getting pictures taken of them and their baby, and it's a beautiful moment, and I'm upstairs. Sitting with my client in that grief and walking them outside, out of the building. And they are devastated and happy at the same time. It's like happy for their child, knowing that they have given them the life they want for them, but then devastated that they may be leaving and driving home by themselves, going back to a house where they have to parent other children that may not know and probably do not know about this plan. And they have to pretend like everything is okay, and they're in pain. It's a lot.
Noah was really, really loved.
Yeah.
Really loved. And we're really grateful to them. So.
The birth parents are making a monumental sacrifice. So we want to be sure that they can choose adoptive parents that they really can trust and have a relationship with, so that they'll know that their children are being taken care of. We have adoptive parent profile books here at the Cradle. So there's a physical book that adoptive parents make, sort of like a scrapbook, where adoptive parents are saying, here's our family, this is who we are. And it's their way of explaining to birth parents what they would be like as parents.
Dear expectant parents, we always knew that parenthood was something that we both wanted for our family. After the challenges of infertility brought us down the pathway of adoption, we are here writing to you. Life does not always take you down the road you had planned. Sometimes there are unexpected twists and turns that bring you to the exact place you need to be. We cannot imagine all that you are going through, but we hope that you find the strength in your decision. Thank you for taking the time to get to know us. Love, Mike and Taryn.
This is our promise to you. This is our commitment.
I have to have Yoshi in there.
There's when he was a coffee cup for Halloween. Here's my ice cream.
I know.
I love ice cream.
He will stop everything to run to Dairy Queen for a blizzard, even in the middle of a blizzard.
This is starting a relationship of trust with birth parents.
Mm-hmm.
It's really nice.
When I got the call that we had been selected, I just remember crouching down in a corner of my office, no privacy. The birth parents had said, yes, we want to move forward and meet. My heart was racing, my hands were shaking. And I remember, after the call, running to the office next door where my friend was and being like, I think I'm going to be a mom. This is crazy.
We got the call that we'd been picked, and Dory said, "Do you want to come and meet your son?" So we were getting a tour of the nursery, and there was a nurse following us while we're getting this tour.
With a little baby.
And she was holding a baby in her arms, and she's just following but not saying anything. And then we turned and we asked her, like, "Is that him?" And she said yes, and she was holding this amazing little baby. And I did exactly what I'm doing now. I was so overwhelmed. I was scared to hold him, and his dad stepped in without hesitation and just picked up this little person, and we were a family, like right then and there. Everything changed right then in that instant.
Oh my gosh, he was so tiny, he fit right on the little crux of my arm. Everything just stopped. And he was always meant to be there.
When we first met Ellie, she was about 3 months old. She was under 7 pounds. She was super tiny. And I didn't know how I was gonna feel. But as soon as I met her, I was like, oh yeah, she's my daughter. I love her. She's amazing. The nurses were talking about, well, she's not eating well.
The nurse put her in my arms, and it was just the most wonderful feeling.
She took to the bottle and started connecting. I was like, okay, yeah. We're here for a reason, and she's part of our family.
She was just the cutest little baby. So tiny, but so sweet and cute. And it was just the most beautiful experience.
I was sitting in a conference room at work, and I got a call, and I was like, oh, I gotta take this. This is my cradle counselor. And she said, are you sitting down? I have a situation for you that I think you'll be interested in. And she said, can you meet with the birth mom? 2 days later, we were in an IHOP where I met the birth mom and the birth grandmother. As we were walking out of the restaurant, she kind of whispered it to me, do you want to visit her? I'm like, that's completely up to you. You tell me. And she's like, I would love for you to visit her. At that point in time, my daughter was 4 weeks old and was in the cradle nursery, which again was like an aha moment, like that's why I chose the cradle, because of the nursery, and that's where she is and being taken care of.
We are the only adoption agency in the country with an on-site nursery. It is an amazing facility to have. It's a place where babies can come when birth parents are considering making a plan for adoption, but they're not sure. They just need some time.
That is what sets us apart from a lot of other agencies, that nursery.
It's 24/7 care, fully trained nurses, where the babies can be safe while the grown-ups make their plans and make their decisions.
A lot of hospitals call us with patients who need some place for their baby to go, who need some kind of connection and a counselor to work with their clients. They know their patients will be supported.
Many times, they're not sure which way they're gonna go. They're not sure if they're gonna do adoption, and they need some time and some space to really think it through. They can come, they can visit with their child in the nursery, and they can talk with the nurses and learn a little bit more about child care and infant care.
They're able to get picture updates. They're able to call 24 hours anytime, even if it's 1 in the morning and they're thinking about, how is my baby doing?
Being able to hold that space is incredibly powerful and important.
Izzy actually spent the first 5 weeks of her life here at the cradle and was taken care of by the most precious, wonderful people there are. She was born premature. She was born at 35 weeks, only weighed 4 pounds and 11 ounces. So she's itty bitty. She was sick. She was not super healthy. You knew that they just loved her, the way they would take care of her and speak of her.
We called the nurses to get updates, and they always would tell us what she was doing, if she was sleeping or in the swing, and she was so well cared for here.
What's really unique about the nursery is there's no charge. This is something that our donors help fund. And even if a birth mum decides not to make a plan for adoption, baby goes home with her, and we ensure that in order for her to parent, that she has everything that she needs.
The nursery is something that is a huge expense, but what it does, it's priceless. That's why all of the donations that happen, it's critical to us staying open.
We build families through adoption. but we also strengthen communities through education and engagement. So the investment in the cradle is also investment in the community. As we celebrate our 99th year coming into our centennial, we've done a lot of reflection on where we've come, but also have had a number of conversations on where we want to go. We clearly are going to stay committed to adoption, making sure we find the right family for every child that is placed in our care. But we also are going to expand our mission and help communities, schools, and organizations understand what underrepresented populations experience in day-to-day life.
As a staff member of this organization, it's an opportunity to educate. That's the one thing that's free. It's personal to me. It excites me. It makes me feel valued.
Several agencies in Chicagoland supported gay adoption in their programs, but the Sayers program kind of spoke to us, and we were interested in adopting a Black child, and so we kind of gravitated toward the Cradle and learned more about it, and that's how we signed up.
Well, Gail Sayers was a Chicago legend, and I didn't know that Gail Sayers had to adopt to have his own family. When they adopted with the Cradle, they were so thankful to have a family that Sayers put up the money, and they've had this program ever since.
The Artifan Gail Sayers Center for African American Adoption is a program that started in 1999. And really what it is our program that works specifically with Black families going out into the community to really change a culture, change a mindset, because we seldom adopt outside of our own family. We host information meetings, we attend health fairs in the community, we work with fraternities and sororities to talk about what adoption is, and we go out and we just educate the community on adopting.
Well, I'd like to thank everyone at the Cradle for having the courage to make this a topic for discussion.
We've got about 1,000 children that have been adopted through the Sayers Center.
The Cradle celebrated and promoted diversity for couples like us who are interested in adopting to come and find out what it's all about.
I did not know how much race plays into adoption, especially with cross-cultural adoptions. Every day, there's something new in the news about race relations in America. It's a lot to navigate.
We provide that cultural connectivity for white families who adopted Black children and a means of support. We really want you to be empowered with the right information so that as you raise your child, you have an understanding.
The Cradle really helped us out, educating us on the challenges that you face to be a transracial family.
That was something that you really had to take thought of and be prepared for, to parent transracially. The Cradle really pushed that this was going to be a lifelong endeavor of educating ourselves to be the best parents we could. It never mattered to us, but we also knew we needed to educate ourselves too.
In this world today, it's really difficult navigating things, and you have kids growing up in the wake of George Floyd and Black Lives Matter. It has to be talked about to our Black children. And how do you have that dialogue? Because I'm a white family parenting a Black child, and at some point, we have to prepare him for how society may see him. I know that we are an adoption agency, but if 40% of children being placed in homes with families that don't look like them, we have an obligation. We have to talk about race.
Seeing someone meet their child for the first time never gets old. It's special every single time. This is a long-awaited moment, and everyone is recognizing the importance of it.
We came over here, and they brought Ryan to us, and I got to hold him first.
He was the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen.
He gave us a look that was kind of like, who are these two?
The drive home was probably the last calm time of our lives.
I almost wanted this! Isabella.
I just broke down bawling, like, oh my God, I'm a mom. The one thing I wanted my entire life has now come true, and she's mine, and she's perfect. She's perfect.
The day that we came to pick Owen up to go home, we had arranged to be here with his birth parents. One of the most emotional moments of our entire lives. We exchanged gifts. Owen's birth parents gave him a little stuffed giraffe. That's still one of his favorite toys. And I'm actually wearing the necklace today. Wear it all the time. His birth mom and I both have this necklace. It's a triangle that represents kind of it's called the Adoption Triad, which means like the birth family, the adoptive family, and the child. And just kind of the reminder that like we're all in this together.
It's a lifelong journey. It's not just when the baby is placed, we're done.
After we had adopted Alex, I thought we were done. I hadn't slept in forever. I was tired. I was making bad work decisions. It was just a mess. And we finally got over that, and I thought, we're done. But I came from a family of 7 extended siblings, and I remember thinking, I don't want him to go through life alone. I don't know what I was thinking. I said, I think Alex needs a sibling. I don't know if you were interested in doing it again, but I just can't imagine being without my brothers and my sisters. So we put ourselves back into it. I hadn't even thought about, would Alex get along with a brother or sister? Would he like her? And what would happen after we passed away? Would they just drift apart? I gave no thought to it, assuming that they would always be together.
Oh my gosh.
We got Lexi, and we got lightning twice in a bottle. Lexi is truly her own unique person. It's not until you watch them when you're trying to work and they let you work and you listen to them and Alex is giving her lessons or trying to coach her and they're cackling together, and you know, that
Those are the last memories that I hope I'll ever have as I exit from the planet, are the memories of them. I remember when Lexi was a teeny baby, fresh from the cradle, and Alex is leaning over and he says to her, I'll love you forever. And I mean, these are the things that I hope I will never forget. That was just the unexpected, amazing, bazillion-dollar payoff of this decision, is that they have each other and that they will have each other after we're gone.
Yeah.
That's priceless.
Welcome back to the
Thank you. This is Charlotte Katerina. We got the RFP, the request for profile, on New Year's Eve. Our counselor had called us and said, what are you waiting for? We want to have an answer if you want to be in for the RFP. And I looked at it and I was just like, absolutely. Sometimes in your heart, you just know this is everything that we were hoping for with our family.
Well, the first picture we ever saw of her was in her like Santa costume, all decked out, and just instantly fall in love. Even with a photograph, I've never met this child, and just to think, oh my God, this is my daughter. Like, gosh, like that's amazing.
exactly what I'm looking for.
It's indescribable. I mean, there's no words for it. Can you believe that she's our daughter?
Yeah, I'm like, whoa.
Can you believe that, you know, we have this great family?
You'll always steal my breath away.
They put her in our arms, and I think both of us were in a state of shock, denial, happiness, joy. It was the moment that I knew that I was her mother. She was everything to us.
You'll always be my heart, my life. Every second, every day.
It's the start of a whole new chapter. She's clearly excited.
She's excited to be here.
Yeah.
Someone who's thinking about donating to the Cradle, do it. Just do it.
Families who are going through this journey of twists and turns, the one place they can go back to, wherever they are in life, is the Cradle.
feels like kind of an anchor. This physical building is where our family started.
It's a safe space for children to be watched over. And that wouldn't be possible without the love and support of the Cradle community.
For them to have supported my birth mother and then to work with my parents, and then almost 40 years later to still be supporting us is really incredible.
The Cradle needs to be a part of all of our communities because adoption is how families are made. It's just as much of a blessing as how any family is made.
It just goes back to what's instilled inside of us when we walk through those doors for the first time at 2049 Ridge. We're just committed to that, but that's what this organization is all about.
This is a place that doesn't just do adoptions. It breathes life into families. It helps families find their way to be parents when they thought they couldn't. And if you want to invest in a place that literally builds the life force in the city, in the region, this is a place where you'll do it because they do it with respect, with the best of hearts, and the drop of a hat will be there when you need them. I'd be hard-pressed to find another place that creates the kind of family magic that this does. And so if that's where you want to invest your time and your money, this is it. Because you're making an investment in people that more than pays for itself.
It's just such a privilege to be able to accompany families along the way.
We all just have that passion, whether we've experienced it or whether we live it every day through families.
All of the work that they do to support both birth parents and adoptive parents is truly unique in the world of adoption.
They've been doing it right this whole time, bringing loving families together and matching them.
The Cradle fit our needs, and luckily we fit theirs.
It's trend-setting even though it's as old as it is.
The history, the longevity, it should be supported.
The Cradle needs support to continue providing the support it gives to others.
Chicago should be very proud of the Cradle and what it's done.
It's a point of pride for our community.
There aren't any dollars to match what it means to me because this is where God presented our firstborn child.
They've given me the greatest gift.
Lawrence wanted to be inclusive of families, and 100 years later, still today, we're doing it. It's what we do. It's the only thing we know how to do. I'll be there when
Just about that, right?
Ellie, what do you think?
Big. Thank you. Good job.
I'll be there when you need me. You can count on it every time.
He loves the Cradle.
You're so sweet.
I'll be there when you need me.
I know I leave tissues sometimes around the room for my clients. And they're like, what is this for? I'm like, you'll see.